We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub, coming us live from Paris again from the last week. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, and we're gonna have a little bit to talk about Paris this week because if you missed it, Seth did a post on the mobility upgrades in the city of lights, Paris. What's the nickname of Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, city of
City,
lights.
City Light.
And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. If you do enjoy the show, please hit that like button, that subscribe, the notification button. All those things help the show a ton, and they are free to do and easy to do. Later on the show, we're going to take you guys questions and comments. So if you guys have any question for us regarding any of the subjects, and you can see the subjects here right now in the show notes, you can put them in the comment section right now. We're going to get to them later on in the second half of the show. But let's start out right away with a new Model 3 interior, a cheaper Model 3 interior that was unveiled this last night, really, as part of what appears to be a test that Tesla is running with just the Model 3. It's the standard Model 3 interior if you choose a Model 3 standard range rear-wheel drive in Mexico, only in Mexico right now. So that what points to Tesla testing out this brand new interior with deliveries right away, August, September. So it looks like it's already in production. So what is different with this interior? Keyword is cheaper materials, fewer features, simple as that. So first thing is the you can see from the main image here the textile seats and different fabrics on the doors and dash. The seats, they don't look completely textile. It looks like this still has some full leather on some of the parts of the seats. But yeah, they call it a standard fabric versus the vegan leather, only available in gray versus black and white for the long range and performance version. Then the screen on the back seat for the back seat rear seat screens, it's gone, reverted back to the old air vent. Then the heated steering wheel and the heated seats are also gone. Well, heated and ventilated seat for the front. In the Model 3 long range, the seats are heated front and back and ventilated and heated front. So those are gone, as well as the heated steering wheel. It's not clear if Tesla actually changed the parts there, if the parts are not there, or if they're there, they're just software lock. Because Tesla in the past has offered like heated rear seats on locks through software. Steering wheel, I don't remember if Tesla ever offered that through steering wheels, but it's not clear if it's just there and unlocked or just not there at all. What else? Oh yeah, the ambient light that was added in the car with the refresh of the Model 3 is still there, but now it's just a white ambient light. It's not a customizable multicolor RGB and all that. One more time, not clear if it's just locked as white or if it's a white only light, different hardware. Unknown. We would probably know that once Tesla start deliveries and you've seen the upgrades in the app, what they're saying. What else? Oh yeah, the acoustic glass on the front is just on the front now. It used to be on all windows. Now it's just on the front windows, not on the back windows. So that's another change. This is an actual clear hardware change, and fewer speakers and amplifier. But that was already the case. Tesla has started differentiating the standard range with the long range, whether the premium audio package was just for the higher end trims anyway. So this is just consistent now. Yeah, so the price, what's the price for that? So obviously we're working with Mexican prices here, so it's not exactly the same. But if we go with this specific version, it's selling now for 749,000 pesos. But in Mexico, they do include the taxes in the price. So if you remove the VAT and then you do the exchange rate, you're about the equivalent of $35,000. Which, if you compare it to the Model 3 standard range in the US, which still has the more premium interior as standard, you save about $4,000 on that price. Now the question is like, what is this again? Like I said, we think this is most likely Tesla testing this in Mexico and then releasing it to other markets if it proves successful. But also, we need to look at this within the context of Tesla's greatly changed vehicle programs this year. So, if you remember, we previously reported that Tesla killed the $25,000 vehicle program that they were working on the Unbox platform. Now, just focusing on the robotaxi on the Unbox platform, but also announcing two new vehicle, well, not announcing quickly, but signaling, and internally, we from internal sources, we were able to report that they approved two new vehicle programs that are cheaper vehicles, but they're still based on Model 3, Model Y. So it's not clear if they're going to be called Model 3, Model Y, and they're going to be just stripped down versions of them, or if it's going to be brand new vehicle on very similar platforms as the Model 3, Model Y, because there's going to be some upgrades that come from the Unbox system, but not the full Unbox platform, because Tesla wants to keep utilizing the existing production lines, and those existing production lines are producing Model 3, Model Ys right now, as well as S and X, but if we're going with cheaper models, S and X is not really the target here. So this might be like the preview of what's to come with these cheaper Model 3, Model Y. It's materials being tested here. That's probably going to be in those vehicles. Fewer features, less luxury with the heated seats and all that. But
Yeah,
so far,
and you mentioned,
$4,000. What do you think for $4,000 removing these features?
yeah, I mean, obviously, heated seats was probably not a big seller in Mexico. I know that climate's a little different down there. So like maybe some of these changes make more sense there. Maybe there's not a big market for luxury features in Mexico as well. So as you move down market a little bit, you open it up to a lot more customers. Makes sense. It just, obviously this isn't going to be the $25,000. Like they can knock $4,000 off by making things less expensive inside, but we're not looking at the $25,000 Tesla here.
And not even the new 25,000. We say dead, we say postpone, whatever. But these two new vehicles that we mentioned are aimed at closer than what we are hearing between $30,000 and $35,000. That's where they are aiming at. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I mean, $4,000 less, $35,000. It's not that much of a change. Every time you can slash a few $1,000s off of a car, you expand the market greatly, like a lot more than you would think. Like a $30,000 car sells a lot more than a $35,000 car, and it's just a $5,000 difference. It works like that. We have Electrek's own Joe Barras and mentioned here that it's wild that the textile and cloth option is cheaper than the vegan leather/vanilla option, which is not necessarily conventional in the industry. That's true. There's different companies that do prefer using textile versus the fake leather, and because of there's been a big trend in the industry to just remove leather in general, use more recyclable materials, materials that doesn't involve killing animals and all that. So there's and some people do prefer textile as a luxury option too, because there's more variety of textile that you can use that have different property, with just leather or full leather equivalents are a little bit more rigid in what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and Tom also asked, are the cheaper Model 3s coming from China with LFP batteries?
Well, that's a guarantee.
Yeah.
All standard range vehicle at Tesla now are all using LFP cells, and if you're using LFP cells, you're most likely using Chinese LFP cells.
Yep.
All right, we had an interesting comments here from the Uber CEO. I'm gonna murder his name right there, but Dara Khosrow Shahi, I think. Let's call him Dara.
Dara.
He's been the CEO of Uber for a minute now, and he made some new comments, interesting comments on Tesla's on supposedly upcoming entry into the Uber's market of ride hailing with what Tesla's previously called the Tesla network, or It's a Tesla ride-hailing app within the Tesla app that use robotaxi once Tesla solves self-driving, which it has yet to do. If Tesla solves self-driving, maybe I should say. And Elon has been promising that for a long time now. Has been promising not just like a ride-hailing app, but he's been promising a customer fleet base robotaxi ride-hailing app, which he's described like situation where, for example, a Tesla owner will drive to work or have their car drive themselves to work, drive them to work, go to work, and then through the app, press a button, and you send your car giving rides to other people autonomously while you're at work. And then when you're ready to go back home, you call back your car comes back, and the car made some money for you while you were at work. Now you need it, it's back there, bring you back home, things like that. And now, Dara, the CEO of Uber, commented on that and on Tesla's potential entry in this market, and he, unsurprisingly, well, at least he used a little bit more caution than Elon when it comes to that, and he warned Tesla that there's more complexity to launching self-driving, not necessarily just a self-driving, but a ride-hailing system in general. So he said probably the times at which you're going to want your Tesla are probably going to be the same times that ridership is going to be at the peak. There are these peaks and valleys in terms of supply and demand. It's also not clear to me that an average Tesla owner or owner of any other car is going to want to have the car be ridden by a complete stranger. So that's actually set the point that you made before, that you don't want other people farting in your car.
It's true.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a percentage of that. That everyone knew that, so that's not really a very novel idea from that right here. But the first part of his comment I think was interesting, because I think that's obviously true. A big part of Uber's value is managing supply and demand and managing prices with supply and demand, and that's where a lot of Uber makes its money. A lot of Uber drivers makes their money. And he has a point there. When a Tesla owner is going to want their car for themselves, is going to be a lot of the time when other people want to have access to that car too. So most, unless you're someone like who works at home like me, and you can send your car like all day all night when you're just at home, that's fine. But for the average person that uses their own car and doesn't have a fleet of Tesla to do this with, he's correct. I think that there's not going to be that much value in it, because when you're going to want to use your car, other people are going to want to use your car, so you're going to miss out on these peak demand, peak prices, and all that. So I think he has a point there. And then he also had it. We had to learn to build out a system that's able to make everything work for both the rider and the driver. It's taking us 15 years. It's taking us tens of billions of dollars of capital. He's also right there, and he warned that Tesla, needs to build an entire customer service infrastructure around all the drivers and the riders for these services. And Tesla has, is not completely oblivious to that, obviously, and they've developed their own service around their sales of cars. So developing their own services around the sales of rides is not that much different. Some would argue it's a lot easier, and I think they'll be right. But it's not that easy either. It's a lot of customer service, and Tesla has avoided using humans in their customer service for a while now. It's hard to get someone on the phone and all that. So I'm sure they're gonna try to do the same thing there. Not that Uber's also known to do that too. So I think Tesla there at least has the advantage of learning from those 15 years that Uber, Lyft, and all these competitors had, and just apply that. So I think that part is not too complicated. But I think there's other things that Tesla is just not looking at very smartly when it comes to this so-called customer base robotaxi ride-hailing fleet, and that's insurance. Insurance for a consumer, for a regular driver, and a commercial driver, ride-hailing drivers, are completely different and much more expensive. And there is then you had to that the autonomous side of things on top of it, so you double the complexity of the insurance, and it makes it unlikely that a lot of insurers are going to want or be able to insure Tesla vehicles that are doing that. So it increased the complexity greatly. Now, obviously, Tesla is doing its own insurance product, so you'd think that they're probably anticipating that, and they want to address it ahead of time. The only problem is that Tesla's insurance product so far has not delivered significant savings for a lot of people. I've seen some people getting better rates out of Tesla insurance than others, but I've seen a lot of people quit Tesla insurance because they realize they cannot drive their car the way they want to when they're under that. Now maybe autonomy solves some of that. Tesla would be the entity most confident in its own autonomous system. So when deploying its own insurance on it, that would match that. But I think this is like a big unknown right now with Tesla's deployment of robotaxi that I would like to see some development into, because I think it's going to be a big hurdle. All right. What do we have next? Oh yeah, a little quick update on the Cybertruck range extender. So we talked about it last week a little bit because we had some comments from a Tesla engineer that confirmed that it's going to be installed by service. And now through the new configurator in the US, which is now open to anyone rather than just reservation holders, we have a section for the range extender that confirmed a few things. Previously, we knew that it was going to be about $16,000 based on the code on the configurator, but it was not public. Now, this mention of 16,000, or the mention I think is estimated $16,000. So it's now confirmed that it should be around $16,000, which is not cheap. And it also has been pushed to next year, early 2025. Previously, it was mentioning end of this year. So it's going to be interesting to see, and you can also reserve it right now. If you place an order for the Cybertruck, you can place a $500 deposit for the range extender to be among the first to get it. I'll be curious to see the actual take rate on that set, see if how many people would want that. Because now you get a lot more range, but you kill a third of your bed, and you don't have an easy way to get this in and out. It's installed as service. It's there, I assume, permanently, unless you want service to remove it. And then what happens if you want a service to remove it? Does it stays at the service center? Does Tesla offer like a battery swapping type of deal? Like, what happens?
Still a lot more questions to answer on this one.
Because I remember when we first heard of this range extender, you did a whole post about it where you saw Tesla building on that and potentially like making like some battery swapping potential, and other things to work off of this completely new strategy for Tesla. But we still haven't heard much from them regarding that.
No, and it doesn't sound like they're working on anything really interesting. It's just very straightforward. Put it in once and pretty much don't mess with it.
So far, that's how it sounds.
Yeah.
All right, this week was a big story for Tesla. It's the NHTSA suspension investigation closing. So this has been years in the making, and even years before that. I remember Tesla fighting with Niedermeyer. You remember the Truth About Cars journalist? Forget his first name, but Niedermeyer. Pushed this idea that Tesla had a suspension problem and the wumpy wheels and all that was failing. And Tesla like fought with him, like did the old blog post, like destroying him and all that. And then he was sort of vindicated to a degree when China issued a recall on Tesla for the suspension. But Tesla ended up fighting that. So that was in 2020. The Chinese authorities forced Tesla to do a recall on 30,000 Model S and X, alleging a suspension issue. But Tesla, we thought that was weird because, all right, you had a recall in China, but these cars are made in the US, and they are the same cars that are made in the US for the US market, for the European market. So why is Tesla doing a recall of the same cars in China, but not in the US and Europe? And then we learned that's because Tesla was actually disagreeing with the Chinese authority on the recall. They said that there was no defect. They said that the failure rate globally on these cars, on that suspension, was 0.05%. And the reason there was a recall in China is because it was twice higher in China at 0.1%. But Tesla blamed that higher rate in China on driver abuse, including that driver usage and expectation for damageability. That's a new word for me. Is uniquely severe in the China market. If the customer inputs an abuse load, that can lead to to the defect. But then right after that happened, when the Chinese recall happened, NHTSA, the U.S. authorities for driving safety, came on board and started an investigation on this. And the investigation highlighted hundreds. Sorry, NHTSA first stated that the investigation didn't start because of the Chinese thing, but that because they got themselves 43 complaints regarding the failure of the front suspension. And through the investigation, they identified 426 instances of failures on two specific four links parts in the Model S and X. But they said that none of the instances resulted in any loss of vehicle control. There was one minor crash with no injury, and that was it basically. Now they didn't know that back in 2017. So, like I said, this has been going on for a long time. So that was way prior also to the Chinese recall. That the Tesla did issue a service bulletin to replace the component, but only on vehicles built between 19th of January 2016 and the 25th of May of the same year. So now NHTSA, 4 years later after the investigation, 7 years after the original issue was brought up, they announced that they're closing the investigation without forcing Tesla to do a recall. So Tesla is escaping a recall. However, the reason they're doing that, despite everything I just said, is because they don't see an actual safety risk, because in the 426 instances of failure that they found, there was no crashes, no loss of vehicle control, so there was no risk of crashes. It's just, your suspension is failing, dropping. It's not great. So what they're doing instead is they're doing a recommendation for Tesla, because they believe that this replacement, this service bulletin, affects less than 75% of vehicles that could end up having this issue. So they are asking Tesla to extend the bulletin to the entire population that is as risk. So I think it's a fair closing of this whole situation that has haunted Tesla for years. The wumpy wheel, the suspension issues that have been plaguing Tesla for a long time with the Model S and X.
It seems like everything that's closed, there's like 10 more that have opened up.
Yeah, that's that's fair. So that's one thing that's solved to a degree. There's plenty of others. Tesla has plenty of other things on their plates. But I mean, I don't know if you remember I said, but I sure remember, like in 2017, 2018, 2019, I wrote a lot about these issues. So I'm kind of glad to see it over years later.
Right.
All right. I'll end with the good news for Tesla. That company is still dominating the charging experience based on a new JD Power study. JD Power does this yearly study of electric vehicle charging experience, public charging experience, and they rank based on 1,000 points system, all the different network, both the level 2 network and the level 3 network. And Tesla still dominates in both, with the Tesla Destination Network, level 2, finishing first at 658 points. Not too far behind at 645 is Volta. I've never used Volta, but I think they're more like a West Coast, right?
I think so. And also, don't they have like ads? Or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, I think they are the ones with the ads, that the free charging with ads. I might be mistaken on that, but I've seen them before. I've seen them in the Bay Area when I was there, but I've never used them. And then, more importantly, there's and more difficult to score high is the DC fast charging system, where Tesla crushes the competition with the supercharger network at 731 points, which is bringing the entire average up, because the second best is ChargePoint at 627, and then it drops down to 5 in the 500s with EVgo and Electrify America. So the average is 664, and that's that's a second best thanks to Tesla bringing the average up. And so you have JD Power saying that Tesla owner remains satisfied with the Tesla supercharger network, as evidenced by the score, but it's down 2 points from last year, so it's going down the score, but still by far the best. The biggest gap between the certification of Tesla and non-Tesla owners come in case of payment and ease of charging. Tesla offers its owner a virtually automatic plug-and-play ability not yet available to non-Tesla owners. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying that, and plug-and charge is very similar. So for people that have access to plug-and charge, it is very similar. Its supercharging category is compatible with Tesla connector, while current non-Tesla vehicles require the use of an adapter as part of the charging process. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, Tesla has deployed the two best charging network in the world, level 2 and level 3, which is why it makes no sense that the CEO of the company fired the team that did that, fired the entire 500 people team that was responsible for it. They rehired a few since, but just a little reminder. All right,
Yeah,
Seth,
that's
talk.
not quite the reward that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure they got rewarded with stock options and whatnot.
Right.
All right, talk to us, Seth, about this. What Paris did to improve their mobility for the Olympics.
I mean, what didn't they do really? They kind of did all the things that that we've been talking about. What they're supposed to do from the car side. They put electric vehicle charging, level 2 chargers, sometimes even level 1 chargers, like all over the curbside. So for people in the city who want to charge their cars, there's now plenty of places to do that. Paris and France offer all kinds of incentives. They also have disincentives coming up for SUVs, so people are already stopping to do that. But for me, I didn't get in a car once. I haven't got, like, I'm still here. I haven't gotten in a car once since I got here. Not an Uber, not a taxi, not, for no reason, didn't rent a car. And that's mostly because the bikes here are just super easy to use. I did a few Lime bikes, but mostly using the dot bikes that are pretty much everywhere. And
So these are the dots. Oh yeah.
yeah, those are the dots.
This one is
Um,
basically the electric colors.
yeah, well, it's funny because Dot bought this other company called Tier, and they use Segway batteries. So a lot of companies are all conglomerating, but they put the blue dot sticker over the Tier bikes. So anyway, it's just a great experience because there's so many roads that are bike lanes only. So you don't have to worry about driving in the same road as a car. And it's not just a bike lane only, but it's blocked by cement barriers. So even if trucks wanted to come into the bike lanes, they can't do that. And they've this map that if you're watching the video, it's really easy to get from one venue to the other venue to the other venue back to your hotel, or to go see sightseeing or whatever. The bikes are just great. So Paris has 3 different bike systems, kind of. They have the Velib, which they've had for at least 20 years. I know when I lived here, they had them, and they're mostly just acoustic pedal only bikes, but they do have some electric ones. Then they have the Lime bikes, which are kind of like the more basic bikes. And then they have these dot bikes, which have 2 gears, they have better lighting, they have speedometers, and they're kind of more deluxe bikes. And they end up costing usually a little bit less than the Lime bike. So if you're picking a network in Paris, I would definitely go with the dot bikes. Also, Paris, the mayor kind of took cars out of the city center. So only emergency vehicles, deliveries in the early mornings and stuff like that are allowed on those roads. So it just makes the roads super easy to ride your bike on. And of course, Paris has a great metro system, and it was running really well, and they didn't have any strikes. I mean, there were a couple of times we took the metro to the Stade de France to watch the track and field. That got a little crowded, and Paris subways are famous for being very warm on warm days. So they were hot and crowded, but you're in there for like 10 or 15 minutes. It's not the end of the world. So overall, just super impressed about how well Paris has done with getting people around. And the games were also pretty good. There's some silly stuff like that breakdancing girl, and the closing ceremonies were a little bit um, long-winded, but overall, I think they did an amazing job. So
Yeah, that breakdancing girl, like everyone trashed her. Like, yeah, she was not nowhere near as good as the other ones, but she wasn't that bad either. Like, people that
right,
kept saying that it was a joke that she was there. So I was like, I cannot do what she was doing for sure.
right, yeah, it was. But it's not just me. Other people were noticing. I was talking to people. I saw some comments in the previous posts that Paris has gotten much better. And of course,
Hmm.
like a big part of it is like, hey, Paris is a beautiful city. Now you can see further because there's less smog.
Hmm.
You can smell the food, the cuisine, the flowers. Everything is better. You can see better. You can hear better. It's not quite as much background noise because the electric vehicles are much quieter. You can hear people playing the accordion and speaking French and all the other great stuff. So it's made Paris even better. This whole mobility thing, and hopefully it finds its way to other cities as well.
So the city center thing without any cars other than emergency and delivery,
Mhm.
is that was that for the Olympics, or is that new for like permanent?
No, they already moved back. It sucks now.
Uh,
I mean, it doesn't suck, but like they're going to have the Paralympics in a couple weeks, and they're going to take it
mhm.
away again. But it was so nice just being able to ride like everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I would have done that. I lived in Paris for 3 months, and I used the bikes a bit and all that, but the cars are kind of scary there, the way they drive.
But one thing they did get rid of the scooter share program, so, like,
Hmm.
the Lime scooters and the Bird scooters are gone,
Hmm.
but a lot of people have purchased their own, and you can get them at, like, the stores around here for, 2 or $300. So, their scooters are still everywhere, they're just not scooter shares, and I think that's
Hmm.
probably right because the people were getting pissed off because people are throwing scooters into the Seine or,
Hmm.
they're doing all kind leaving them everywhere. And the bikes are a little bit less likely to be abused like that. So
Yeah,
it's
I
working
agree.
out.
All right, moving on. We have some news coming from Ford. Ford had a little show and tell with their dealers for their upcoming electric vehicle lineup, and they apparently showed some interesting that we don't have access to, we haven't seen, but there was a report in the automotive news that said that the event that happened in Vegas recently showed. Okay, they didn't show prototypes. They showed some images of new EVs, including sedans, which is interesting because Ford is kind of out of the sedan market. Crossovers, all right, that's we're used to. They already have the Mustang and pickups. You know, obviously they have the Lightning already, and they had the next generation Lightning that I think is going to be very interesting next year. But the big thing that a lot of people kind of want to see out of Ford is this idea of maybe a Maverick style pickup that's electric. We don't have anything there that confirms that, but there was several apparently new pickups, electric pickups that were shown. Again, images were shown to dealers, so something to keep in mind that maybe it's actually in the works. And we know, of course, that Ford put together earlier this year a new shunk work theme to develop cheaper electric cars. So led by none other than Doug Field, former Apple and Tesla executive. Neo produced their first and Onvo. Onvo is the name. It's like a little crossover, a Tesla Model Y competitor in China. And if you remember, Neo are not too shy about uh, you know getting heavily inspired by Tesla design. Let's say the interior is not too bad. Like definitely the front end here at the peak of the nose, extremely similar to the Tesla Model Y or Model 3, especially new Model 3, I would say. The rest of the design, it's not. I think it's maybe not unique. Like all cars are getting inspired a little bit, but um, oh, this angle, yeah, this angle is a little bit more Model Y, maybe. But the thing that looks very much Model Y, why people are comparing it to Model Y, it's the interior here. The interior is extremely similar to Model Y, and kind of the Model 3 too, with the ambient lighting. Um, the user interface on the screen is also super similar. Same thing with the user interface on the rear screen. Now we can see here this lie flat. What is that? Front seat lie flat on both sides on the driver's side. What does that mean?
You can use it as a bed. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the Envo prices, they are pretty good. The standard range version with the 60 kilowatt hour battery pack that apparently gets over 300 miles of range, but that's on CLTC Chinese standard, starts at the equivalent of 30,000 US, which is $4,000 less than the Model Y rear-wheel drive in China. So, and then you have the two higher end version that has a 90 and 150 kilowatt hour pack that are yet to be announced in terms of pricing just yet. Car just came out, but yeah, the Envo is expected to be a big competitor to Tesla in China.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Polestar announced this week that they produced their first Polestar 3 at their South Carolina plant. So it's a start of a brand new era for Polestar, American manufacturing now for Swedish/Chinese brand. And obviously, the goal of that is to get access to the tax credit in the US. But even then, the Polestar 3 has kind of had mixed reviews. No, I mean, people like it so far. People have seen it, like it, but it's where people are stumbling a little bit is with the pricing that start at $73,000 in the US. So it's a little bit pricier because Polestar, even though I think they make some beautiful cars and great specs and all that, I think they just have an issue right now getting a footing as a luxury brand. Even though I think they make quality vehicles, the Polestar brand, even though it's not exactly new, it was around for a while. It's new to be electric for the last few years, and it's been associated with Volvo forever, which has been around forever as a premium brand. By itself now with this relaunch, it's kind of it doesn't have the name recognition that a BMW has or other luxury brands. I think that's their main problem right now. Would you agree, Sid?
Yeah, I mean, I would also add, I mean, that you're right, but I would also add that Volvo is, they're basically the same chassis. Volvo is making very compelling cars. The EX90 is going to be the same as the Polestar 3 in terms of, battery, motor power, all the other stuff. But it's going to look like a Volvo. People trust Volvo. They know, Volvo's been around forever. And it's the EX90 also has a third row. It's got a kind of a better look, bigger LiDAR, just a bunch of other interesting things that, if you're weighing one against the other, the EX90 looks pretty good. I mean, the third row for a lot of people is a game changer. So sadly, I think Polestar's biggest competition might be the company that spawned it.
Yeah, not a bad point. This interior looks sharp as hell, though.
Yeah,
love it. But Volvo's interior is also great. So, to your point,
and Volvo and Polestar always like to point out that they invented the 3-point harness seatbelt, and that's why they kind of emphasize it with the orange coloring there.
It also gives it like a little bit of a race feel when you have a different color seatbelt. All right, quick post just to as a PSA, the Rivian has suspended production of the electric delivery van, for Amazon and others now. I think they're producing on others, and they confirm it's because of a part shortage. It's a specific part shortage that affects only the electric van and not the R1S and R1T. We don't have word on the parts in itself. We don't know exactly how long the suspension is going to be, but just keep that in mind in terms of like how it's going to affect Rivian this quarter.
Yeah, there was some other big Rivian news. One that most people probably won't care about is that they have a camp kitchen coming out now.
Yeah.
But the bigger one that Rivian owners are really going to take note of is there was a update to the stereo. And I'm in Paris. I don't have my Rivian with me, otherwise I would have written it up. But um, my understanding from the comments that I've seen in Reddit and other places is that it's finally like they finally figured out the sound profile in the Rivian stereo. So I'm actually looking forward to going home and seeing what that sounds like. So um, Rivian owners have been asking this for a long time. The stereo has always been a little lackluster, so now
Hmm.
it's fixed apparently.
Nice. Yeah, I know that Apple Music is coming now too, and
Yep,
a
and
few other things.
Adobe Atmos sound as well.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Rivian, we're still on the Rivian subject to a degree, but Volkswagen has, like Tesla recently, they changed a lot of their plans regarding their electric vehicle programs. Move things up quite a bit. The Trinity EV, that's like this next generation EV that was supposed to come within the next 2 years, cheaper, still long range, fast charging, and all that, has reportedly been delayed. There's been a bunch of different reports coming out of Germany, especially Handelsblatt, that mention now 2028, 2030, and even one report said at one point 2032. So we don't know what's happening exactly with the Trinity program, but it's not looking good so far based on those reports. But now, in the meantime, to hold us off from this next generation stuff, apparently Volkswagen is considering now. Well, I mean, we already knew they were considering a next generation. I keep saying e-Golf, but I don't think it's going to be called the e-Golf. I think it's now the electric Volkswagen Golf, because there was an e-Golf before that was gasoline version of the Golf that was converted to electric. So it was not a bad car. I still know someone that owns one in Ontario that still loves it, but it wasn't optimized for electric propulsion vehicle. Let's put it like that. So now they are working on a brand new version, completely built on either the MEB or the new MEB Plus platform. And they are accelerating, apparently, according to this report, they're accelerating the program thanks to their new partnership with Rivian. So previously mentioned that Rivian has received or is going to receive an investment from Volkswagen at the tune of about 3 billion, and it's going to invest in a new joint venture with Rivian at the tune of 2 billions. And they are looking to take advantage of, especially Rivian's software expertise. We know that Volkswagen has had some issues with software when it comes to its next generation vehicles, and they're looking to combine their expertise into a new electric Golf to hit the market around 2029. So we're not talking about anytime soon either. So, not worth really much looking into the specs or anything like that. But they have the ID3 and ID3 GTX for a while, so um, it's not too far from a Golf, really. It's a bit smaller. I think the ID3 is a bit smaller than a Golf, right?
It's hard to tell, but it looks. Yeah, I mean the Golf has grown, so the ID3
Mhm.
looks like it's a little bit smaller.
And obviously, the Golf, one of the best-selling car, and like a lot of different variants. It would be interesting to see Volkswagen revisiting it with an electric powertrain, but designed from the ground up to be electric, not like the old e-Golf. All right, I think we are ready to jump into you guys' comment section now for today.
Yeah, we should note if you do want to throw some comments in there, we're a little bit late this week. It's summertime. People are out enjoying themselves in
Yeah.
the sun. All right, Joe is back saying Tesla has its own insurance, so when you call customer service after your robotaxi crashes into a Waymo, an Optimus robot can deny your claim almost as quickly as a human.
All
Well,
right.
maybe in fact they know when you got into an accident, the Optimus robot can call you and say, "Hey, this is not going to be covered." They don't even have to wait for you to call. So,
Didn't know ahead of time. Yeah,
yep.
Elon has talked about that a lot before, like linking the um, insurance part to the real time data part, but also for customer service.
Yeah, it's a wonder why they haven't been able to optimize the insurance rates any more than they have already. I mean, I guess you're dealing with a pool of money from X number of customers, and if only the people that are good drivers are going to go on the Tesla insurance because they know that they're being watched, then I don't know. It seems like there's possible for there should be some opportunities that don't seem to be happening. All right, Nick Cedar says yes, Volta is free with a giant video screen ad stands, now rumored owned by Shell and going to a paid format.
Yeah, I think it's I don't, is it rumored? I think they've been sold. I've heard they've been sold though.
Yeah, and I thought Shell was kind of divesting itself from this stuff, so maybe not.
Yeah, no, it's been officially Shell USA has officially acquired Volta.
Oh, there we go.
Apparently, 169 million. So I'm sure there was a nice exit for the startup.
All right, Joe, I don't quite understand this one. Maybe you do, Fred. I love that one tweet. I've been to Australia. She's the best dancer they have.
I tend to defend her because she's clearly not as athletic as some of these other breakdancers that are like freak of nature that can spin on their head and all that. She's not that athletic. She's not that explosive. I think she's also like a bit older. If I don't want to be
36.
Disrespectful, but like the average breakdancer. But she had some cool moves. I'm not gonna lie. I thought she did like pretty okay.
It's amazing. So just this is totally off topic, but it's amazing that like every third Instagram reel that I see is her doing something hilarious. Like somebody's taken like the windshield wiper in the back of a car. They put her like legs on it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. It's just it's like one of those memes that is just on fire. All right, moving on. Still waiting for the Rivian to come to St. Louis with the R2 and R3. That's from Skeptic. I guess they're on a roadshow with that. Would Polestar be doing would Polestar be doing better if it was just Volvo? That's a good question. They did
probably if that if it was just like if for example the Polestar 3 was just like the EX90 Polestar, for example, the Volvo EX90 Polestar version, Polestar body kit, like things like that. Yeah, I think it would probably do better.
Yeah, I think Volvo or Geely or somebody made some money. Polestar did an IPO. I don't know if it was ended up being worth it, but
I mean, I think they wanted to have the all electric rub. They relaunched the brand as all electric. Volvo has commitment to go all electric, but it's still years ahead. They still have their fossil fuel powered version of the vehicle. So I think they wanted to we have this all electric brand, and it's already an existing brand on top of it, and they wanted to do the spin off. Like you said, they wanted to do the IPO. And they're not. I mean, on the market, they're doing stock market. I think they're doing terrible. I haven't looked it up for a while, but it's they're doing great cars. It's just I think they having some issues differentiating themselves, like you said, from Volvo, and also establishing themselves as a premium brand worth that money.
Yeah. Especially when BMW and Mercedes are coming out with really compelling electric vehicles as well. All right, Skeptic says, I'm seeing a lot of articles the last couple of days about Musk needing to sell Tesla stock to keep Twitter afloat. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is somewhat a real possibility. It's hard to put a ton of credibility on it right now. It's just because it's pretty opaque, Twitter's financials. There's if you listen to Elon, the site has never done better, like record numbers and all that. And then the media, who, to be fair, they don't like Elon that much. They don't like Twitter that much. They do say that revenues are down 80% and all that. So ultimately, I don't listen to anything Elon says for the most part these days. I don't trust him. I prefer to watch what he does. And what he did is he sued advertisers for boycotting Twitter. When you sue, your customer, the people that pay money on your platform, generally not a good look. Like it's probably not doing great. So So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Twitter is in need of money. And so far, when Elon has needed money for Twitter, he has taken it by selling Tesla stock. So it's not, that far fetched. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it's not that far fetched of a possibility that he would sell more Tesla stocks to buy to finance Twitter.
All right, one little last piece of trivia. Volvo also invented the Lambda O2 sensor, which is at the core of ICE emissions controls. So Volkswagen owes Volvo a big debt of gratitude for that one, I guess.
Yeah, is it ICE emission controls or ICE emission cheating? Which was it? I'm not. I don't know. I don't know about that sensor, so I'm just joking. All right, but that's it for us this week, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. We did enjoy talking to you guys. If you did enjoy the show, please give us a like and a subscribe. Free to do, takes a second, and helps us a ton. So we appreciate when you do it. If you're listening on your podcast app right now and you want to give us a 5-star review, we keep getting attacked with 1-star reviews because we are apparently too political or too anti-Elon. Which, if you don't like our views on that, you can not listen, or you can just actually not give us a 1-star review and take in the information from the other side of the aisle, and use that information for your bettering of your own opinion. Maybe, I don't know. But if you do enjoy the show, please give us a 5-star rating, because that also helps a ton. And only if you help like the show, of course. And then we're going to see you same times next week, and Seth's going to be back in US soil in the freedom of the US of A. Have a